Welcome to the Hudson Show. Coming up, is it possible for your coworker to clean too much?
Also, the drummer from Dream Theater says what we're all thinking about Taylor Swift.
All that and more on the way next. We got another TikTok update.
We got one every day, man.
Yeah, but we might just get to the end of this week and then this will be it. We don't have to do this anymore.
That actually doesn't sound that bad.
The TikTok update now is that TikTok, yesterday we talked, the new update was that TikTok might get a 270-day extension. Mm-hmm. Is that like 9 months?
Yeah, like more than half the year, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The TikTok might, the Senate might be able to pass a bill that would extend the time that TikTok has to sell, assuming that this law is upheld by the Supreme Court, right? Mm-hmm. TikTok now, according to reports, plans to shut down its app on Sunday. Oh, and we also said that even if TikTok is like removed from the App Store, it should still keep working, right? Now it doesn't sound like that. Now it sounds like they're just going to be like, if you can't let us keep being owned by a Chinese company, we are done. We are shutting it down for you on Sunday. That's it.
Right. It's like that whole thing of like, oh, you thought you were breaking up with us?
Yeah.
No, we're breaking up with you.
You can't fire me. I quit.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you think that makes it, I mean, that's not going to make it any easier for all the people that are TikTok obsessed, that are like, you know, switching over to Red Note and just panicking. Mm-hmm. It's not going to make them feel any better that, you know, that TikTok is banning itself in a way.
No.
Removing itself from them.
No, I think what was making them cope a little better was the idea that it would still work for at least a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it would be kind of like a slow, gradual saying goodbye to TikTok. Mm-hmm. But now they're saying that there might be a pop-up in the app that will reportedly give users more info about why the app they know and love is no longer functioning. In
their words.
Yeah. Well, this is the words of Gizmodo, who wrote the article.
No, I mean, the pop-up will be, it's not our fault.
Right.
Yeah. Why don't you vote all of your members, every single one of them out of Congress? Because they basically all voted for this thing.
Yeah.
And then we refuse to sell.
Yeah. And then we refuse to be, you know, which to me, that's the clear, like, reasoning why this need to happen. Mm-hmm. Because why wouldn't you sell? Yeah. You know? And that's the thing. That
doesn't make sense.
To me, that shows that there are nefarious things going on. If they're like, well, I guess actually we'll just leave because we don't want to sell because we have all this data that we're using against you.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense unless there's something they are afraid to have to give up or share with somebody else. So it probably is best for all of us that the Band-Aid is just ripped off.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think like how much better you think all of our lives will be if TikTok goes away?
I mean, maybe we'll see an initial bump in the 2 weeks to a month following. Yeah. But then after that vacuum that's created is just going to be filled by other apps. Yeah. So I know we talked about how a lot of people were downloading Red Note. I don't really know if Red Note is still going to be able to stay around either. Yeah. Because that's also owned by ByteDance. But then there's also like Instagram and YouTube and stuff.
If Red Note was so great, it's been around since 2013. You'd think we would have like been on it by now.
Right.
I think this is a tough time for TikTok to go away though. Like if it was the summertime where like we could be out doing stuff and then we'd be like, cool, like it sucks, but now I'll go for a walk or something. Now, for most of the country, it's like 5 degrees. And you're like, what am I supposed to do except sit in my house and watch TikTok? And now I can't do that.
Well, you could read a book what I'm doing pretty much every day.
Yeah, I'm going to miss TikTok. Now, something else I saw on YouTube yesterday, a lot of people saw and we're getting excited about the trailer for Daredevil Born Again. Daredevil is back in the MCU, this time on Disney Plus, the new series, which will be the 4th season of Daredevil, a standalone Daredevil series. That's coming on March 4th to Disney Plus. Allie, what did you think about the trailer for Daredevil Born Again?
Oh, I gotta say, the trailer made me very excited. I remember when the first season of Daredevil came out, how groundbreaking it was for television and superhero television in general. I mean, when you first traveled to Hell's Kitchen with Daredevil, it really was different. It was different than anything else we had seen because we had kind of been inundated with all of this CW level superhero shows.
Yeah, that's right. Or the like ABC version, like whatever the Agents of whoever they were.
Right, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
that never grabbed me at all.
No, those just weren't as good. They didn't have the gravitas that Daredevil did. It just felt so different. And the action scenes, the fighting, it was just on a bigger level, more intense. It felt like you were watching almost like an HBO show.
Yeah.
So that is already back. I mean, there's one point in the trailer where I literally had to look away.
Yeah.
As a person that broke my wrist a few years ago, I was like,
What about that part where it's like a guy leaning up against a wall and his legs are like sticking out at an angle.
Oh, yeah,
and then it looks like he jumps on the leg to like bend both of the knees back. Oh, man.
That was bad. That actually happened in another superhero movie, Birds of Prey, where Harley Quinn does that to someone's legs and you're just like, ah! Yeah, so
I'm cringing up just thinking about it.
I know. It's action-packed in just how long the trailer is, like 2.5 minutes. It's full of lots and lots of fight scenes. And I remember the first season has one of those amazing one-take sequences that was a fight.
Yeah.
That was just incredible. And so it gets me excited that it's back. I hope it returns back to, kind of its former glory. I feel like it lost itself as the series continued. And so that made me a little bit sad. I kind of trailed off towards the end, didn't really watch much of it after probably season 2.
I think season 1 and season 2 are like season 1 for sure.
Yes.
One of the best things in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
Generally, season 2 very good. Season 3 I feel like not as much. I can't remember. I get them mixed up. But I know season 1 is the best.
Yes.
And then now I'm just kind of hoping for it to get back to, even if it's as good as whatever the worst season was,
right?
It'll still be fun to watch. But all of the setup for this and the trailer is very exciting. It definitely makes it look like it'll be worth the wait to finally get. And Daredevil is just one of the coolest characters.
Yes.
And what I really like too is where they can make these series feel really important without being too connected to everything else that's going on.
Right. Well, that was the beauty of Daredevil when it first aired, was that it wasn't really connected to anything.
They weren't even allowed to like say the names.
Right.
They had to be like, the big green guy has been stomping around or whatever. Like ever since that. But now they can connect that if they need to.
Yeah.
But you don't need to.
No.
Everything isn't like doesn't have to revolve around the
Avengers.
Yeah, the Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, or Doctor Doom, or whatever. Like, just have some stories be their own thing. And it looks like this will be that. And so, March 4th. Can't wait. Fired or Hired on the Hudson Show. This is whenever you've got workplace issues you run into, share them with us, and we will do what we can to help. And if you want to help out today, listen to this and then share your advice at 8772-RadioU. We have a worker who says, I work the day shift, and there's a person who works the night shift that is cleaning too much.
Oh.
She said in her office or in her workplace, there's about 5 of us, but it's staggered. So some people work in the morning, some people work at night. They recently brought in a new person from a different department who's really trying to prove herself. She's working the night shift. When she started, she was organizing the file room. Cool. It needed it. Then she organized our shared desk area. And this is when I start to get bothered. I would put something like a snack or a drink mix or pens I bought in the little drawer at my desk, and she would throw it out when she came in at night, or put supplies in the communal drawer. Randomly, after coming in and her cleaning the previous day, it was only, she would throw out pet supplies that had been put in the communal drawer randomly after a cleaning fit. Okay.
Oh.
First, it was only me being annoyed, but the more she did it, the more the rest of us that work in the mornings are having issues being able to find our stuff. Now it's fair to say everyone is frustrated. While she's a hard worker, this isn't helpful to the operation. At first, I thought she picked this cleaning lady task because she wasn't fully involved in the work yet, but needed something to keep her busy. Now it feels more like a compulsion. I feel like bringing it up at our bi-weekly meeting, which is the only time we all see each other, or in private. What should I do? 8772 RadioU. Just a worker that works at a different time that's just a little too eager to clean and is now been like throwing a bunch of stuff away or just making it hard to find because it's organized her way and not everyone else's. 8772 RadioU. We need some good advice for this fired or hired situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a tough one. I want you to rate these responses, Allie.
What out of what?
5.
Okay, 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Max says, set up a camera to see if she's taking supplies home. Possible theft.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll give that a 4.
A 4?
Yeah.
You can't rule anything out.
No.
From the way she described it, it doesn't seem like they're suspicious of that, but you never know.
You never know.
Eric says, bring it up with her calmly in private. She likely doesn't realize how she is negatively affecting you. Plus, her reaction to the conversation will help you gauge her motivations. It's the first step, and if things don't change, then get your coworkers behind you and bring it up again.
That's great, Eric. I give that a 5.
That's a 5.
That's good advice.
That's the perfect response.
Yep.
What about Haley, who says, you have to talk to her soon, but be ready to make changes yourself as well. If all of you are sharing a workspace, then you may have to do some desk downsizing, meaning having almost nothing on the desk except things that are used by everybody.
Ooh, yeah.
Keep everything else, stored away in your own personal space.
Yeah, like in a locker or something like that. That's also good advice. I also give that a 5.
A 5. What about Susanna, who says, I, for one, would start with passive-aggressive Post-its on my stuff. But the right answer is probably talk to her privately.
For the first part, I'd probably give that a 3 for funniness, but not a great idea. But the last part, yes, that's also a 5.
Okay, so average it out, it's a 4.
Yeah.
And then Whitney says, bring it up with her and make it about how it makes completing your work assignments more difficult. I would be tempted to bring in my label maker to work and label things so they don't get thrown away.
Dude, I might, that's not a terrible idea if you're worried about your stuff going missing. So, yeah, that's also a good one. I'm bad at doing this, Hudson, because I always want to give people good ratings.
Yeah, well, that's all good advice.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's also all good advice. So
I don't think
I shouldn't feel bad for rating people high.
I think maybe Max's step is another, like, that's a couple steps down the road after you talk to her or whatever. But also, if she's stealing stuff, that's a bad move on her part, obviously because it's wrong. But like, everybody knows it's her already, pretty much. So.
They're like, you're the only one here working late at night.
And nobody was stealing anything until you showed up. Nothing was disappearing. So
it all began when you started.
Not exactly the perfect crime. I think we helped here.
Yeah.
I think we were helpful. Food manufacturers won't be allowed to give you cancer anymore. At least not this way. The FDA just announced a ban, some say that is long overdue, on the use of red dye number 3 in food, beverages, and ingested drugs. They say this is long overdue because 30 years ago, studies proved that it causes cancer in animals, the use of red dye number 3. And now 30 years later, finally, apparently the FDA is like, yeah, we shouldn't cause cancer in humans this way either. And so many foods are going to have to change their ingredients one way or another, change their formulation so that they no longer include red dye number 3. And I have a list of some of the things that you may be eating as we speak that could have red dye number 3 in them. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like the more you look into our food industry, the more you get depressed. Because reading here, it says red dye number 3 is a synthetic color additive made from petroleum.
I love petroleum.
Petroleum?
My favorite.
Why was this ever allowed
Yummy
in food?
In my tummy.
Why? So yeah, the more you understand about how all of this stuff is made that we eat and consume, it just makes you sadder and sadder. Obviously happy that this is no longer going to be allowed to be used in food that, is made and sold, but still, it sucks that this lasted this long, and it sucks that there's so many other things that are probably being used currently that are also terrible for you.
Yeah, but this is and that that we have time 2 to 3 years before this will actually completely go away.
Oh,
because they literally have until January 18th of 2028 for some of these foods. I think it depends on what the thing is. How long they have to change their formulation. So some of the food that you may not even realize has red dye number 3 in it right now is Double Bubble has red dye number 3. Brock's Candy Corn, Jelly Bellies, Betty Crocker Fruit by the Foot. Starting to sound like these things you shouldn't be eating in the first place anyways.
Yeah, a lot of it's candy.
Although it also says certain ice cream and frozen yogurt. Maraschino cherries.
Yep.
That's not good.
Nope.
Yoo-hoo strawberry drink. Certain sodas and fruit-flavored drinks. Entenmann's Little Bites Party Cake Mini Muffins. And toaster pastries. So I guess the strawberry Pop-Tarts.
Yep.
All very well could have red dye number 3 in the ingredients, and that is, as we have just learned 30 years ago, is bad for you.
Bad. Right. I just learned that. It's crazy that it took this long for them to make a move on this. But like I said, I feel like there's probably plenty of other things that we're consuming that also are bad, and we have no idea because we don't look into it and we don't do our research, which I think it's just unfortunately we don't have time to really do that. We're hoping the FDA does it for us, and so we're hoping that will be a protection.
There's 2 things you can do. Just kind of turn a blind eye and just be like, what I don't know about can't hurt me.
Right.
Or you can start your own farm and just eat, based off of the goats that you own.
Just the goats?
Whatever the goats give you is what you have. Mostly milk. Mostly milk is your other option. Because apparently you can't trust the government to just regulate everything.
That's just such an odd thing. Just a goat farm, that's it.
That's all you... Well, who has space for cows? Other livestock.
I feel like chickens would be better than goats.
But they're so gross. You don't want to have to deal with that. So goats it is. It's only goats. And those are your options.
There you have it, guys. Hudson's answer to this problem.
Goats. Or ignore it. Just saw this really cool video. If you've never seen the YouTube channel RadioU before, they do a few different kinds of videos on there, obviously all revolving around drummers. And this one series they'll pick a drummer, they'll have a drummer from like a major band from one style, and then the drummer will have to listen to a song that they claim they've never heard before without the drums in it, and then they make up the drums for it.
Yeah.
Which is impressive. It's almost always impressive to watch.
Oh, so good.
The newest video is Mike Portnoy. He's a metal drummer for the metal band Dream Theater. Allie, how would you describe Dream Theater in 5 words?
Ooh, in 5 words? Oh, I would say epic rock music. Oh, but then I only have 2 left. It's just like, it's like bigger than life,
it's like operatic.
Yes.
Almost.
Yep.
Very big metal, very like long songs,
super
very
long
intricate.
Songs. Yeah.
I think he also did it some time where he drummed for Avenged Sevenfold. There's another band people might have heard.
Yep.
And the song he listened to, and he claims he didn't know the artist. I don't know. They always say like they've never heard this song. How can you prove that?
Yeah, you can't really
without them hearing it, and then that takes it all the way. But the song is Taylor Swift, "Shake It Off." Which, if you think about it, that song famously, like, the drums don't change. It is one drum.
It's a drum track.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he comes up with his own drum part for the entire song.
Yep.
And it is amazing to watch.
Oh, it's so good. And I have to be honest, it is so much better than the original. I mean, obviously, I love rock music.
Yeah.
And I think rock drums have the best drum sound. I mean, Dream Theater had such complicated music. So Mike Portnoy is doing like all sorts of different crazy stuff with his songs.
Yeah.
And so he's adding in like all this weird, intricate timing and these different, he's just going nuts on this song, which I love. Somehow he's lining things up that you shouldn't line up, and it's just great. But yeah, it was a joy to watch for sure. And I have to say, it's it's so much better than the original.
I think it's different. There's parts of it where it just feels like it's too much for what's going on in the rest of the song.
Yeah.
But there's also parts that are much better. Particularly, he points out something that I think I've thought about before too, where in that Shake It Off song, there's a part where Taylor Swift goes, this sick beat, and nothing changes.
Yeah.
It's the same beat.
Yeah.
And so he comes up with his own thing. Like, that would be the perfect part too if it was like a real rock song.
Right.
To actually have a drum solo if you're performing it live.
Yeah.
And instead, it's just the exact same thing.
It's just a
yeah, nothing changed. The sick beat that you've already been getting down to this entire time.
The thing that's been looping this whole time? Yeah. That's a good point, Mike.
But it raises an important question because, there's a lot of people that would go, oh, I hate Taylor Swift. And then they would hear this version of it and they'd be like, actually, this is kind of getting awesome.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's changed is the drums.
Yep.
Which makes me think, then what if you changed out the other instruments and another metal instrument did it? And then you switched out the singer and it wasn't Taylor Swift and it was Matt from Spoken. And all of a sudden, but then it becomes like if you replace all of the pieces, all the planks of wood on a boat, is it still the same boat?
Yeah, that's the question. It's just like it loses its identity at that point. I've admitted before, and I think I said it earlier too, in just this break that we've been doing, I'm not the biggest Taylor Swift fan. Mm-hmm. I don't think the music is that spectacular, and nothing about it makes me like, oh my gosh, I've never heard this before. I want to keep listening to this. There are some songs that, when I was growing up, I listened to because I liked country music and she was at first a country artist. But so I just feel like when you hear it with kind of some of those more intricate beats that he's adding in, to me, as a person that likes more interesting music, it did suddenly become interesting to me.
Maybe. Yeah, that's right. Some people don't like Taylor Swift and then they'd hear this version of it and they go, well, this just proves how much she sucks. how bad her music is. Listen, Drumeo is an amazing channel.
It's so good. Check it out.
There's a million different songs on there and a million different drummers doing the same thing, and it's very entertaining. It's the Hudson Show on RadioU, 8772-RadioU. The Hudson hotline is open.
8772-RadioU.
Talking about movies or TV shows that have made you cry, and we have a lot of people chiming in. We'll start with Chad. Chad says he cries at the end of E.T. Does E.T. ever get you?
Oh, I don't remember if E.T. ever did get me, but it's been a minute since I've watched that.
Also, at the end, or the part of Man of Steel, when, obviously, spoiler alerts ahead for many of these things, but Chad says, in Man of Steel, when young Clark asks, why can't I be your son?
Oh,
guaranteed cry every time.
When Kevin Costner waves at his family, when he's about to die. Oh, that's so sad. It's true. That's such a good one.
Kirk says, this is apparently an anime. He says, Frieren, do you know anything about anime?
I do, but I have not heard of this one.
He says, the themes of loss, how to deal with it, and still cherish those in your life really speaks to me. Even with painful partings, I would recommend this to anyone who is dealing with loss. Never heard of it, but we will add it to the list of things that I'll probably never watch. Justin says, most of the songs in The Greatest Showman make me cry.
Aww. Sounds like Justin's a big teddy bear.
Yeah. You love musicals. You ever cry at The Greatest Showman?
I don't think I did cry with any of The Greatest Showman songs, but they are so good. So I understand.
That leads me to one of mine. Many of mine, this is crazy. Some of the ones that I've come across that have made me cry are not things where I actually think I love the movie. It doesn't make me like the movie, but it did affect me enough to make me cry. And one of those is A Star Is Born, the Lady Gaga version.
Oh, okay.
I thought the movie is boring. But when she sings the song at the end, the Don't Wanna Taste Another Kiss, that is a good song. And the montage and everything, tear to your eye.
It makes you cry.
Yeah, I'll admit it.
Nice. Well, the one for me that I immediately thought of as soon as I saw this question that you posed was a film called Flicka. And
with the horse?
With the horse.
I mean, no judgment here.
There is a particular scene toward the middle of the film where the dad is just so fed up with the daughter that he sells the horse.
Yeah.
And she runs after the horse and the people that bought it, and it's in the rain. It's super dramatic. And she's yelling for them to stop and telling her dad no.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I've never been a horse girl.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it kills me each time. It's such an emotional scene, and I bawl my eyes out every time.
Gosh. Yeah, it's there's something weird about the things that make us cry in movies that don't necessarily relate to our real life at all. I know there's people like that, but to me, it's not. There's nothing really about the Lady Gaga singing at the end of Star Wars Born that I feel relates to my life in any way.
Right.
But it's just so emotional.
Yeah.
Eric says the ending of the Penguin series on HBO Max.
Oh.
Colin Farrell almost got me.
Almost got him.
He didn't cry. He almost cried.
That is a good ending for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That you don't want to spoil that one. It's still too new.
No. Yeah.
But, that's a tough one. Chuck, I feel like I've heard Chuck say this before. He says, I cried during the TV show 1,000-Pound Sisters when the little dog died.
Oh.
I didn't know.
Well, who wouldn't cry when a puppy dies?
That's like a reality show where that's actually
a real dog
dying in real. It's not Marley and Me.
Right. Oh, Marley and Me. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
You know, Me and the Dogs.
Dude, Marley and Me did kill me.
Marley and Me, and then Homeward Bound also really gets me.
I just thought of another one.
Okay.
Up. The opening sequence in Up always made me cry.
I think it's because so many people say that, and I'm so attuned to it that my guards are up. And it's not like the beginning of Up isn't great.
Oh,
but that doesn't make me cry.
I think it was, before that whole Pixar tests and sees how to make people cry, how to rip your heart out thing.
Yep.
I had not seen any of that stuff before when I had watched Up, for the first few times. And each time it made me cry. I haven't watched Up in a while, but every time I watched it before I even saw the whole Pixar makes you actually tries to make you cry thing. It always would.
My controversial opinion on Up is the beginning scene is great. The rest of the movie, but that improves people's perception of it. The rest of the movie is just okay.
Aw.
Good. Very good for an animated movie. But
but that opening sequence is iconic.
Really, really buoys it up. We heard from Aurora, who says, no movie or TV show has ever made me cry, but 2 video games have.
Oh.
Strange Therapy and Spiritfarer. Do either of those mean anything to you?
I have not heard of those.
Me neither. Don't know what that is, but I'm sure they're very emotional. Deb says Spider-Man in the Avengers when he says, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
And he starts fading away.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is a tearjerker moment. Also, another Spider-Man one in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah.
When Uncle Ben dies. It's so sad.
Josh says, does the news count as a TV show? I don't know if he's joking or if he's
that feels like a joke
about how bad things are, or if he actually, because some people do cry at the news.
I mean,
you see things that are going on,
right? Some news is extremely sad, but yeah, I think it doesn't count as a TV show because it's real. Mm-hmm. So the tears that we give to TV shows and movies are almost simulated.
Yeah,
where it's a simulated tear. They're purposely trying to make you cry,
right?
But for when something happens in real life that actually makes you cry, that's different.
Yeah, if that is, but I think he sent an emoji, so I think he is joking.
He is joking about it, yeah.
Susanna says, I cry so easily, but apparently I haven't been watching anything good because I can't remember the last time I cried watching something. Well, you should watch all these things that we're talking about, that all these people are sending in. Justin says, all the scenes in We Bought a Zoo where father and son make an amends.
Yep.
I've never seen that.
Oh, it's a good one. Matt Damon.
I think I'm familiar. Is there obviously it really is about a zoo, right?
It really is about them buying a zoo. And I think it's actually
not the animals that make you cry. It's the amends.
It's the relationships. It's the relationships. I think that's a young Nick Robinson playing his son in that film. So.
Regina said, A Million Little Things got me. Is that Oprah thing that was a lie or?
No, that's a show that is actually about, I believe, suicide. So it is a deeper topic. Yeah.
Anything with that probably makes sense. She also said, Eventually, my husband asked why I kept thinking about it. And I said it was just so good. But she said she would keep every time she thought about it later on.
It would make her cry. Oh,
I'm not going to spoil it because she did send some spoilers, but we'll leave that one. Let's see. John says the first Land Before Time. Littlefoot.
Wait, Littlefoot's mom.
His mom. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that is ingrained in us.
It's weird how I feel like kids' movies, too, are more likely to make me cry than things made for adults.
It's true. Those kid movies were rough, man.
We were talking about Pixar movies, or you had mentioned Up, which obviously that's a big one for a lot of people. Up didn't really get me, but I will say Toy Story 2, when Sarah McLachlan is singing.
Yep.
When somebody, and Jessie's going through her whole life with the girl. That gets me.
That's very sad. Toy Story 3, also the end of that one did make me cry up a little bit.
That didn't do anything for me. But Soul made me cry.
I haven't seen Soul.
I don't even remember. I just know that I cried. And Inside Out.
Inside Out made me cry. Yes.
Got me as well. Somebody I just lost it. Somebody said The Wild Robot.
I haven't seen that. New. That's a new one.
Yeah,
also,
people really love that.
Right. Also, Kathy.
There's Jonathan.
Yeah. Kathy said The Patriot with Mel Gibson and I Am Legend when Will Smith has to kill his dog.
No, anything with dogs.
It's sad.
Leave me right out of it. I will watch it. I have watched it, but I also hate it. One more for me. I remember, or two more Oscar-y ones.
Okay.
American Sniper.
Oh, yeah, that's a deep
Obviously
one.
That's a real story and a very sad ending. And I also cried at Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, even though I think that movie was incredibly overrated. At least it shouldn't have won the Oscar, but it did get me to cry. Not at the hot dog fingers. I cried laughing at that.
I have one last one that I just thought of because someone mentioned the whole We Bought a Zoo and like the father-son thing. There's a movie which is actually based on a true story called The Greatest Game Ever Played, and it's about golf.
Yeah.
And it's about
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. It's about I think the only amateur that ever won the U.S. Open, or one of the only, and his father, who is an immigrant, was not very supportive of his son pursuing golf. And at the end of the movie, his father comes and watches him play. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that scene kills me.
Dang. I have one more. We'll end on this. Stephanie says vet shows always get to me. Oh, well, why are you doing that to yourself? I mean, what do you think you're getting into, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Picture in your mind a container in the frozen food aisle at your store of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Wrong. It's bigger than that. They just announced that hitting grocery store shelves this month will be their new 28 ounce shareable ice cream containers. Up until this, I didn't realize this, that Ben & Jerry's only at stores would sell their ice cream in those small 16 ounce containers. And which is really only enough for one person, let's be honest. It's enough calories for 5 people for a week, but it's only enough ice cream for one person to truly enjoy it. But now they're calling these new pints that they are putting out shareable, even though technically they are 1.75 pints.
I think they're even calling it like the Sharapalooza or something like that. Like they have a kind of funky name for it.
That sounds like Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah, or Scoopapalooza.
Scoopapalooza. Finally, now you can have a party, an ice cream party with Ben & Jerry's, and you only need to buy one container if you have like 4 people over.
Right. Yeah, you don't need to buy 4 for, one for each person.
Now, that said, they're only available in a few select flavors, like really a few select. Chocolate and fudge swirl, coffee and fudge chip. That's probably what I would pick. Vanilla fudge brownie, and strawberries and cream. And you might be wondering, how much would a shareable pint, a Scoopapalooza version of Ben & Jerry's cost? Probably like $26, if I had to guess.
$26?
Yeah, so expensive.
I don't think it costs that much.
No, it's not that much.
I was going to say ice cream is usually not that expensive.
It's probably like $8 or something.
I think it says it'll cost between $7.28 and $9.99.
That is too much for ice cream, even though
you just said it was going to be $20.
I know, but I was exaggerating because Ben & Jerry's is so expensive. Yeah. And so I can only afford the small pints, and I'm not wealthy enough to share Ben & Jerry's with people. If other people want to buy it and share with me, finally that's an option, but If I'm buying Ben & Jerry's, that's a Hudson special.
I gotta be honest, I'm not buying Ben & Jerry's in the first place, but I do feel like you over-exaggerated the price a little bit.
The Ben & Jerry's that have, I think they call it core or something, and it'll be ice cream in the container, but then in the middle of it, at least it's supposed to be the middle, sometimes it shifts around, will be like something that's not really ice cream. It'll be like just a core of peanut butter.
Okay.
And that drills down from the top to the bottom of the container. Is the center of the container of ice cream. And they'll do that with like that or brownie batter or something. And those are special.
I've never tried that before. That sounds nice.
Yeah, you should definitely try that sometime.
I should.
We should do, these aren't new flavors, but we should have a shareable Ben & Jerry's food fight.
I mean, I'm fine with any ice cream we want to buy on the show.
Yeah. It'll be hard to top Graders though when they came in.
It's true.
Recently.
We did have those Graders in recently, and those were pretty good.
Maybe we'll give Graders a call.
Maybe we should.
They were ahead of the game on this.
Yeah.
They've been putting out full size ice cream buckets for a long time.
Right.
A lot of space news lately.
Yeah.
This time it's about one of the most famous items of all in space, our moon.
Yeah.
Many different planets have moons. We are the only one that has the audacity to just call ours the moon. The moon is one of 25 sites to be concerned about this year, according to a leading culture. What a weird way to put it. To be concerned about. I'm concerned about some sites. Among them is the moon.
You sound like Christopher Walken again.
The World Monumental Fund. It seems that their job is to come up with different sites, I guess now, not just on Earth, but around the galaxy, that could become endangered of being altered irreparably in some way. One of the 25 sites that they have added to their endangered site list this year is the moon itself.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, though, it's not because of what will be going on the moon. It's because of what we've brought back from the moon.
What do you mean?
So they say for the first time, the moon is included on the watch to reflect the urgent need to recognize and preserve the artifacts that testify to humanity's first steps beyond Earth, a defining moment in our shared history. So they're more worried about people doubting that the moon landing happened and also a potential destruction of any of the rocks and artifacts that were brought back from the moon.
Oh, yeah. Whatever. I'm not worried about that.
Apparently they are.
I thought, like, if anything, like the footsteps on the moon, which do we even know? Are those, like, the footprints can't still be there, right? There's winds and stuff and dust.
Yeah, I'm not sure if those are still in existence, but...
I mean, the flag must still be there, right?
I think so.
Surely.
I think there's multiple flags there now.
But most importantly, the first one.
Yes, the United States flag, I believe, is still there.
It's space, right? So there's not like it would decay away,
yeah,
right?
I don't think so. And even if it had, I mean, we were going to the moon well into like 2 decades, or at least a decade after. Mm-hmm. So even if it had started to look, somewhat poor, I think they would have replaced it.
Hopefully. But is that I don't know if that counts. This feels ridiculous. It feels way ahead of schedule.
A little over the top.
And why would anybody, like, none of the rocks that got back from the or moon, right?
Yes.
None of them just went to some random guy.
No,
they all went to the government or museums or whatever. Why would they destroy them?
And that's the thing is I'm a little confused why this is added to the endangered list. Mm-hmm. But I think it's more as a statement than anything else. Like they're not really worried about it being, the moon is going to get ruined or something. Yeah. But they're all
Which
about...
I think is eventually a valid concern.
Sure. That could be. But they're all about preserving culture and heritage with this monumental, World Monumental Fund.
Yeah.
And so I think they're more worried about human perception being altered to make it think that our heritage is not true of like us actually making it to the moon. I think they're more worried about that.
I think that somewhat makes sense. What are the other things on the list that they're worried about?
You know what? I didn't even look and see what those were. I was so focused on the moon.
Let's see. The historic city of Antakya, which is in ancient Antioch in Turkey, that was devastated by earthquakes, so that's why that's endangered. Gaza's historic urban fabric, which obviously there's been the conflict going on there.
Yep.
And France's Chapel of Sorbonne in Paris, among about 20 some others, including the moon.
Also looks like Ukraine, part of that.
Yeah.
Some
all
stuff
the other
in
ones
China.
seem to be in much more imminent danger than
it seems
the
like
moon.
there could possibly be a reason why that could be destroyed. But yeah, it looks like the moon was more of a statement than an actual, like, we're worried about it, you know?
Well, let's just get ahead of the game. Let's just start protecting it now.
Yep.
So that we don't have to worry. So it never makes it onto this list again. Thanks for listening to The Hudson Show. Please don't forget to rate and review the podcast.